Instrument flying is challenging, but it can also be a lot of fun. To stay proficient, pilots must continually keep their currency by accomplishing tasks as outlined by the Federal Aviation Regulations. Specifically, to keep instrument currency, pilots within the United States must complete, within the preceding 6 months, the following tasks to maintain their currency to fly in IMC conditions. 6 instrument approaches, holding procedures and tasks, intercepting and tracking courses through the use of navigational electronic systems. The last time I went out to accomplish this, I needed 3 approaches to maintain my currency. But due to turbulent conditions, I was only able to shoot 2 approaches before terminating my flight early. I don't really like to fly in turbulence at all if I have to, and when you're trying to attempt something as precise as instrument flying, the smoother the air the better. Which brings us to this video. This video completes my last instrument approach needed to maintain my IFR currency, and I wanted to make it a little more realistic for myself, so I decided to file and fly an IFR flight plane to the Rutherford County Airport, located some 32 nautical miles to the southwest of my home airport, Hickory Regional. I also enlisted the help of a friend as a safety pilot who happens to be an instrument-rated private pilot as well. It's always great when you can bring someone along, and it's even more helpful if that person is a pilot, which can help reduce your workload. In this case, I had to use a view limiting device to restrict my view to inside the cockpit, so naturally, I had to have someone looking outside the plane to be safe. I chose the RNAV GPS-19 approach into Rutherford as it is an approach that I've flown before, and the winds just happen to be favoring the runway 19 at Rutherford. The initial plan was to start the approach at the Swink intersection and then fly the procedure as published. However, just because you create a plan doesn't mean that it'll happen. I'll talk a little bit more about this later on. Before editing this video, I made a post on Share Aviation asking if viewers would like to see the process of IFR flight from obtaining clearances all the way to descending down to minimums. This was met with positive response, and as a result, edits to this video are going to be at a minimum. This also means that this video is probably going to run more on the longer side. However, I hope it brings some understanding to those of you who are wanting to learn more about IFR flying. As I said before, instrument flying is challenging. There have been times I've been completely frustrated and confused by it. However, I discovered that once I work through these challenges, it can also be one of the most rewarding things about flying. If you're currently training for an instrument rating or just curious to know more about it, stick with it. The concepts come easier with practice. Okay, that's enough talking. Let's get to the video. I'll stop at certain spots and discuss a few things specific to this flight to help you understand things a little better. So make sure your seat and tray table are in the upright and locked position and prepare for takeoff. Battery master, left fuel pump on, in the green, make sure fuel rich, clear! And
check. Good, here on the left.
Number 886, you going to the ramp or back to the runway?
74886, back to the runway, please.
886, right turn on Alpha, taxi to 24, advise when ready.
74886. Come on, Garmin. Can you hear me? Good. Not me? I got you. Cool. We're good. One 18.325.
125 Zulu. Wind variable at 06. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 21 Celsius. Dew point 08 Celsius. Altimeter 3023. Remarks. Density
terrain system test OK.
900. Hickory Regional Airport. Automated weather observation 2125 Zulu. Wind variable at 06. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 21 Celsius. Dew point 08 Celsius. Altimeter 3023. marks. Density altitude 1,900.
Flip over here to ground. Hickory ground, Archer 87 Whiskey.
J7 Whiskey, Hickory ground.
Yes, sir. 87 Whiskey is on the ramp IFR to Rutherford County, ready to copy.
When getting clearance, it's good to use the CRAFT acronym to quickly get all relevant information. Each letter has a specific meaning. C is for clearance limit, the point to which ATC is allowing you to fly, and is usually your destination for short flights. R is for route, which is a specific waypoint to fly to. This could also be a specific departure procedure. You'll notice the controller mentions the Hickory 3 departure in this video. A is for altitude. This should be pretty obvious, but it is the initial altitude you'll be assigned to climb to. F is for frequency. This will be the departure or air traffic control facility that you'll contact after departure. In this case, I'll contact Atlanta Center on 125.150. And T is for transponder, which is your squawk code. ATC issues a special squawk code to all IFR aircraft so that they can be tracked on radar.
87 Whiskey cleared to Rutherford County via the Hickory 3s. Dennis file. Maintain 4,000. Expect 6,000 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 125.15. Squawk 5130.
They say departure is 125.15. I didn't hear it. And it also make sure you said departure by Hickory 3. Yeah, gotcha. Was that the frequency? Was that Atlanta Center 125.15?
Affirmative. 125.15 for Atlanta Center.
All right, 87 Whiskey is cleared to the Rutherford County Airport via the Hickory 3 departure. Expect climb maintain 4,000. Expect 10,000 10 minutes after departure. Departure frequency 125.15. Squawk 5130.
87 Whiskey, altitude expect 6,000 10 minutes after departure. The rest of readback is correct.
Expect 6,000 10 minutes after departure, 87 Whiskey.
I made a slight error here because I still had 10 on my mind to repeat 10 minutes after departure. You're required to read back your clearance for this very reason, to make sure what you heard or wrote down is correct. In my case, I'd written everything down correctly, I just didn't say it right.
Is that what the 4 was there? Is that supposed to be a 6?
From 886, after departure, left traffic 24, clear for takeoff.
And 87 Whiskey is ready to taxi.
87 Whiskey, runway 24, taxi via Bravo Alpha. The wind is variable at 4, altimeter 3023.
All right, runway 24 via Bravo and Alpha for 87 Whiskey, thanks. Okay, instruments we've checked and set. We'll flip over here to tower, and then we'll do 121.150.
Here's another mistake I made. Even though I wrote down the correct frequency, I absentmindedly tuned my radio to 121.150 instead of 125.150. This was an honest mistake, which I discovered later, but you can see why it pays to double check everything. You can also see here that I'm making a final preparation of the cockpit before I take off. It's best to do this before you depart so that you can focus on flying and your instruments and not turning the knobs and pushing buttons on your radio or GPS.
Swing. I won't activate that just yet. I'll get off, we'll get up in the air, and then we'll activate it. Okay, we're ready for takeoff. You ready? Good to go. All right. Hickory Tower, Archer 87 Whiskey, holding short, runway 24, ready for IFR departure to Rutherford.
Archer 87 Whiskey, Hickory Tower, hold short, runway 24, waiting IFR release.
Hold short, runway 24, wait for IFR release, 87 Whiskey.
Hold short for IFR release simply means the controller is waiting for my clearance to become active. Once he releases me, you'll hear him give me specific directions, which I must read back and follow.
Static vision. They're not synthetic vision on the G500. Do what? They're not synthetic vision. Yeah, that's synthetic vision right there.
Cherokee 7 Whiskey, proceed on course to Swank. Climb maintains 6,000, runway 24, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 24, climb, maintain 6,000, proceed direct to Swank, Archer 87 Whiskey. Okay, shut that latch. final is clear. Line up on the center line. Feet down, straighten up, full power. Gauges are green. Airspeed is alive. And come on, just a little faster, rotate.
That forest fire is still burning. Is it? Look how big it is now.
Activate approach. We'll get to 500.
X-ray 7 Whiskey, contact Atlanta Center 125.15. See you later.
Atlanta Center 125.15. 87 Whiskey, good day. Atlanta Center, Archer 87 Whiskey with you, 1,700 for 6,000. Get some fan going on here.
Can you find within converging approaches and you expect visual approach left
125.15.
What was you on?
121.15.
That was 135 point. They can't hear you until you get to about 2,500 anyway.
Charlie, no problem. Thanks for checking. 2535 frequency. Let them know you're direct to the airport, please.
2535 and direct to the airport. Airport.
Atlanta Center, good afternoon. Archer 87 Whiskey with you, 2,300 for 6,000.
Archer 87 Whiskey, Atlanta Center, good afternoon. Radar contact, altimeter Hickory 3023.
3023, 87 Whiskey, thank you.
Is there a volume in this headset?
Yeah, it should be. It's right down your left.
87 Whiskey, what approach? You plan on doing an approach at Rutherford County? You going to VFR?
We're doing the approach. We'd like the GPS and runway 19, please.
Inbound. No, I got an inbound from the west coming from over towards Asheville, so let me see what they want to do.
I don't think we're going to hit the clouds, so I'll go ahead and put on the vibe bands if you want to take the controls for a second. You have the aircraft controls.
Realizing that I wasn't going to be able to get into the clouds at my filed altitude, I had to put on my view limiting device. This restricts my field of view to inside the cockpit, making me fully reliant on my instruments. This is logged as simulated instrument time. As I put them on, I give my safety pilot control of the aircraft using what is known as positive exchange of controls. This is a method of communication so that each person understands who has control of the airplane.
And 87 Whiskey, after swing, just go direct to Zokim. I might have to hold you at Zokim for the approach there.
All right, after swing, present to Zokim, and we'll wait for the clearance, 87 Whiskey.
Here's an interesting moment. The first prospect of actually having to hold. I've only flown holds for practice as well as maintaining my currency, and hearing this made me a little nervous since this would be the first time I would actually have to hold. So to allow for the passing traffic, I decided instead to slow my airplane down to give the traffic enough time to pass through the area without me having to hold. Next, the controller actually cleared me to the ZOCM fix after swing, bypassing the initial approach fix of jive view. In IFR Flight, the initial approach fix, often shown as the IAP, is where your approach procedure begins. What's also interesting to note is, and you'll see this later, the controller has me stay at 6,000 feet until ZOCM, which places me 2,200 feet above the altitude I need to be at.
Where is ZOCM?
November 1 Foxtrot Whiskey, VFR traffic 10 o'clock and 4 miles eastbound. I'm showing 3,900, type unknown, altitude is unverified.
621 Foxtrot Whiskey. What was the direction of the traffic again?
11 o'clock, 10 to 11 o'clock, about 3 miles eastbound.
It's your inbound fix. The inbound fix.
Yep, I'm looking for traffic, 621 Foxtrot Whiskey.
And in fact, once you get to ZOCM, you can be down to 3,800. Okay. You might get your first hold. Really wish we had that 750 back now. Once you
One
get
Fox Whiskey traffic, no factor off the east side now.
once you get to
21 Foxtrot Whiskey, Bravo, thank you.
once you get to altitude, yeah, basically just slow down, back it up a little bit, give them some time. Thousand feet to go for altitude. Crap. And once you get the swing, you're actually down to 5,100. You know that? Yeah. In fact, you might not get to... You only get to 5,100 by the time you get the swing. You just stay there. 54 now. Oh yeah, good. Two 100 feet to go. I'll pull it all day, way back to about 22, 20.
Atlanta Center, Cessna 12184. We're going to change our destination over to Lower Creek at Lenore.
Cessna 12184, understand you change your destination. What's the identifier?
November 027.
November 027, you said?
That's right.
All right, I don't have November 027 on my map there, so 124. How far away is that from your present position?
We're about 20 miles or so to the
Unless
north.
they've changed it, it's not November 027.
Northeast. And we can cancel VFR or cancel with you. And
C27, I
we appreciate your help up to this point, though.
Okay, 12184 squawk VFR. I got nobody between, actually, in the vicinity for the next 30 miles or so. So squawk 1200, frequency change crew. Have a good day now.
Good day, thank you, sir.
Atlanta King Air 124 Whiskey Room Office Statesville at 2500. I'd like to pick up IFR to Aiken.
Here, 124 Whiskey Romeo, Atlanta Center, Roger. Maintain VFR. Stand by for coordination.
Roger. We're going to have to make a tail number change to that. We had to swap planes on the ground. Type's the same, color's the same. It's just the tail number's different. We're actually at 431 Sierra Charlie.
That's 431 Sierra Charlie. I'll show the change then.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I don't know if you can
got traffic about 3,000 feet below you.
Aiken
Just see it.
I'd like
there. Yep.
see if you could help us with that too, but if not, it's no big deal.
All right, I'll get right back to you. I got to call TMU and Flo and see what it's going to be like today. Can you give me just a second to get back to you?
Roger, thanks.
We got that swing, so we want to 5100. And drop down to 5100. Altitude.
November 87 Whiskey, you're 10 miles from Zokum, maintain 6,000 until Zokum, cleared for RNAV 19 approach to Rutherford County.
All right, maintain 6,000 until Zokum, cleared GPS 19 into Rutherford County, 87 Whiskey, thank you.
Looks like luck paid off here, as slowing down allowed me not to have to hold. Instead, the controller has cleared me for the approach, which means I can fly the rest of the approach as published once I've reached the Zokum waypoint. Because I'm so high though, I'm also going to have to make some adjustments to the aircraft to steepen my descent. To do this, you'll see me set a lower RPM setting as I begin my descent, and I'll also add flaps early to the approach as well.
Go pump off, landing light off. Even though we're in or out. And that said, switch fuel tanks, how you looking? We're still good. We're on the right tank right now. We got about 15 in each.
And I'm sorry, I went to the landline there. That was 80 Tango Bravo, let us Roger, hello, maintain VFR, advise if any altitude changes, Hickory altimeter is 3023.
3023, 80 Tango Bravo.
Remember, 431 Sierra Charlie, I do have your radar contact. We'll show you 9 southwest of Statesville. I'm still working on the coordination there. Maintain VFR, altimeter is 3023.
Order 23, 1 Sierra Charlie, thanks.
Now, normally on this approach, you're down to 5100.
Foxtrot Whiskey, contact Tri-Cities approach 134.42. Good day.
Down to Jivu, and then you're going to let you go down to 3800 to Zokum. So you're going to be 2,200 feet higher than you normally would beginning this approach, which is plenty of time, but you want to get down to that glide slope. I'm almost at 62, so I need to lose about 200 feet as well.
Climb up here to
Firm.
Hello, Atlanta, Eclipse 67, Lima Papa is through 2,000 for 7,000.
Number 67 Lima Papa, let us Roger, hello, radar contact, maintain 7000, Hickory altimeter 3023.
3023, we'll climb, maintain 7,000, eclipse 75.
Atlanta Center 80 Tango Bravo, climbing, clearance. November 431 Sierra Charlie, you're cleared to Aiken via direct Spartanburg Vortag. That's Sierra Papa Alpha, and then direct Columbia direct Aiken, and maintain 12,000. Your Hickory altimeter 3023.
Spartanburg, Columbia, Aiken, and 3023, 1 Sierra Charlie.
Number 1 Sierra Charlie, contact Charlotte approach 120.5, and just make your request with them for that change out of Aiken, please.
20.5, 1 Sierra Charlie.
Okay. Nancy 80 Tango Bravo is going to low out here at 8,500. 80 Tango Bravo, thank you. And November 20396, contact Tri-Cities approach 134.42.
3442, good day, 20396.
Number 67 Lima Papa, climb to 10,010, please.
Starter center to stage bill.
Block somebody, November 67 Lima Papa, climb and maintain 10,010.
Climb, maintain 10,000, eclipse 7 Lima Papa.
Again, November 9564 Juliet, altitude discretion, just maintain the VFR.
We'll maintain VFR for 64 Juliet.
Yep. November 67 Lima Papa, contact Atlanta Center 132.62, live higher for you.
3262, eclipse 7 Lima Papa, so long.
No. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, turn. 2191, and it should sequence over here. Now. It says now. There it goes.
Now that we're inbound on the approach, we can look back at the plate and look at the bottom portion of the approach plate known as the profile view. This view shows us what altitudes we can descend down to relative to each fix that we cross. If we also look at the bottom of the plate, we can see our minimum descent altitude, or MDA, which is the lowest altitude we can descend to. Once we reach this altitude, we must have a visual of the runway established, otherwise we would need to execute a missed approach. Obviously, on a clear day like the day the approach was shot, that's not a problem. However, if it were cloudy or overcast, this would be a different situation. Pilots should always be prepared to go around regardless of weather conditions. It is on this inbound course where we descend to minimums as per the approach plate.
Not available.
I'll just go ahead and pull some power since we need to get down to about 38. Yep. After we get wings level, I'll put in a notch. We are in a wide arc. There we go. Reach down here, put in a notch of flaps. And pull some more power. .38. I need to maintain 38 to well V. And then 32 at hustle. Push the nose down. Let's trim it nose down too. That's not a good descent rate. Yeah, you can do more flaps if you need to.
Ready, 7 Whiskey, to verify, you said you had the weather at Rutherford County, correct?
Actually, we'll stand by. We'll get the weather for 7 Whiskey.
024.
I'll tell you what, 7 Whiskey is going to be easier for me just to read it to you if you're all right with that.
I'll be fine, sir. 7 Whiskey.
All right, 2135 observation at Rutherford County showing winds 190 at 9. 20 at 9, and that's, it says 140 V200. I'm guessing between 140 degrees to 200 degrees variable. 10 statute miles visibility clear. Altimeter is 3024, and the temp and dew point 22 and 10. And I guess that's 2135 observation.
All right, thank you, sir. 7 Whiskey.
7 Whiskey, I need downtime through flight service, or you can cancel on Greer Approach 119.4. Your radar service is terminated at this time. Change to advisory is approved.
All right, switch to advisory. 7 Whiskey, and we appreciate the help today.
Take care.
So does that mean he has not canceled you? Yeah, he said we could cancel with a Greer Approach. He said radar service is terminated, but he said we could cancel with Greer, which is... Normally when they say radar service is terminated, they're done with you and they cancel. Yeah. What's your needles? Got it. 7-1 uniform, party. 555, 45 entry, left downwind 20, full stop at rolling. 38. And you just passed Weevely. Okay, so after Weevely, 32. I'd crank it on back. Yeah, I'd crank it on back. And, okay, I've got a glide slope. The Weevely's where you should pick it up. Yeah.
Manifest 1K3407, turning to left downwind to runway 5.
Now, did he say frequency changed approved and you changed to 122.8, right? Yeah, he says switch to advisory. Okay. You want me to let him know we're coming? Oh, what's our distance? We're about, gosh. Don't worry about it. I can guesstimate that we're about 10 miles out. 711 uniform, turning left crosswind for 14. Make on. What's your needles?
Landing traffic around control 7, left downwind to runway 5.
Rutherford County traffic, Archer 87 Whiskey, about 10 miles to the north, inbound, shooting the GPS into runway 19 Rutherford. Low-end traffic, Strawberry 595, turning base 20, rolling. Now, what's your needles? Playing with that radio? Yeah. Trying to get my map back. Lake Norman traffic, Skyhawk 7711, uniform left downwind for 14, Lake Norman.
Lake Norman, 871 Whiskey, turning left downwind to 14, Lake Norman.
Going traffic, Strawberry 595, final 20, rolling. Precision height is 1500. There's 38. After hustle, we can get down to 2720. Glide slope is
and you're only half mile from
Hustle. So we're still above glide slope. Yeah. He kept us awful high.
And Lake Norman traffic, Skyhawk 7711.
Not anything yet? Nope. Not that I can see it. I may not have hit it right.
And Lake Norman traffic, Skyhawk 771 uniform, turning final.
Okay, hustle was our final approach fix at mixture rich. Fuel pump on, landing light on.
131.
Cloud slope is almost there, slightly above it.
That's what you did, me. Push this thing back up.
Okay, cloud slope is coming in. I'll give her just a little bit power. Not that much. I'll just follow her down with
Traffic
power.
not available.
Lake Norman, 871 Whiskey, turn in base. 14, Lake Norman.
What are you are? About a 5 mile final now? Yep. Rutherford County traffic, Archer 87 Whiskey, 5 mile final, runway 19, Rutherford County. Got 1,000 feet to go until decision height. Okay. And I need to follow my needle a little bit better. Get that needle centered there. Okay, getting below glide slope now. We'll give it a touch.
Lake Norman, Cherokee 871 Whiskey, turn in final. 14, Lake Norman.
Alright, you got all your pre-landing check done? Yep. Fuel pump, landing light, mixture rich, seat belts. Gears down.
And your decision height one more time.
1,500.
What's your intentions?
We'll do a full stop. Are we about short final or final?
We're probably a mile and a half.
Rutherford County traffic, Archer 87 Whiskey, 1.5 mile final, runway 19, full stop, Rutherford. Okay, get our glide slope back, there it is. Airspeed's under control, throttle out. And there's 1,500. We got it.
Once we arrive at minimums, I get to pull the view limiting device off and visually fly the airplane down to the runway. Again, this is pretty easy in VFR conditions, but if I were to not have sight of the runway or the airport once at minimums, I would be forced to go around and execute a missed approach. Since it was clear, I did a full stop landing and taxied in.
Maybe 70 or 65 or something like that. Rutherford County traffic, Archer 87 Whiskey, short final, runway 19, Rutherford County. Well, there we go.
Overall, despite a few mistakes, this was an enjoyable IFR flight. It was great to actually file a flight plan and fly with ATC, giving me additional relevant experience. Best of all, I'm all caught up on my currency requirements. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it brought some understanding to your perceptions of IFR flight. That's all for now, so until next time, have fun, fly safe, and may your landings be smooth.